as Joe mentioned, this is the book I'm going to be speaking about. It's called Woman in Battle Dress, written by a Cuban author, late Cuban author, Antonio Benitez Rojo, translated by Jessica Powell. So, I'm going to begin with a quote that I think does a really good job kind of giving you the essence of what goes on here in the book. It's kind of towards the beginning, so I'll start with that. In walked the conductor, a small, bespectacled, dark-haired man who acknowledged the applause with a brusque nod of his head, then sat down perfunctorily on the bench in front of the pianoforte. I looked at the program. He was the composer of Fidelio, the opera being premiered that evening. The music was quite good, but what really fascinated me, possibly because Robert had sunk his fingers into my hair and was caressing the nape of my neck, was to see how the resolute Lenore, having donned men's clothing in order to rescue her husband, went about seducing the jailer's daughter, arousing in her an ardent passion that resonated within me. Motioning to Robert to bend his head near mine, I whispered in his ear, "You see, I'm not the only one who dresses as a man to get what she wants." So you can kind of guess a little bit what this book is about. Born in Switzerland in 1791, Henriette Faber spent most of her life in France, where she fell in love, dressed as a man in order to attend medical school, fell in love again, and then joined Napoleon's army in Russia as a combat medic. Eventually, Henriette ended up in Havana, where she fell in love again. So, under Benito Rojo's care, while he explored the nature of duality, Henriette became a woman with incredible depth. She loved both men and women fiercely and was unafraid to step in the line of danger. Henriette was a real person, and the most remarkable thing about this novel is the extent to which Benito Rojo fleshed out this character, despite there being very little actual historical text on her life. Through the novel, we get a sense of her fears, her passions, her insecurities, her sexuality, her life as an intelligent woman who was extremely adaptable and inquisitive. The novel opens with Henriette as an adult on board a ship to New Orleans after being banned from Cuba. Henriette speaks directly to us through diary entries and letters, setting up the start of her journey, writing the tale of her life. There's another little quote that I thought was really nice and pretty, but also kind of gives an example of her voice. "A multitude of stars shine here and there in the darkness of my memory, points of light that I must link together as the ancients did, with imaginary lines to form constellations." I just thought that was pretty. The book is sectioned off not by important events in her life, but by important people. Love is the main current through which this novel flows, and it is reflected in the way Benito Rojo creates the rhythm of the narrative. Throughout these chapters, Henriette grows from a young woman attending parties, to an organizer of a circus troupe, to a man determined to be a doctor. In Cuba, Henriette marries a young woman named Juanita, who betrays her secret, leading to one of Cuba's most fascinating and infamous court cases, the kernel that sparked Benito Rojo's interest in writing this novel. Benito Rojo did a lot of research for this novel, and it shows. It's almost impossible to succinctly relay all that happens in this novel, and that proves to be a minor weakness in the book. The novel can be dense, and there are times when Benito Rojo switches timelines so abruptly it's hard to tell which Henriette, the young or the old, is speaking. Backstories are randomly inserted, sometimes confusing the rhythm of the writing. But if anything, this density shows the passion Benito Rojo had for his subject. And thanks to his dedication, we have this sweeping novel, populated by some of the most interesting characters I've ever met that any fan of historical fiction would admire. Thanks.